Ukrainian FPV drones, often assembled quickly, modified in the field, and costing a fraction of traditional weapons, have emerged as one of the most disruptive tools of the conflict. These systems are used to target vehicles, equipment, fortified positions, and supply routes. Their psychological impact is also significant. Soldiers report constant pressure from above, with little warning before an attack. One of the most striking aspects of FPV drone warfare is the cost imbalance. A drone costing hundreds, or at most a few thousand, can disable or destroy equipment worth millions. This asymmetry erodes the traditional advantages of large, well-funded armies and forces commanders to rethink how resources are deployed. Even with hundreds of thousands of troops available, sustaining operations becomes more difficult when supply lines, armored units, and staging areas are persistently threatened by small, agile systems. Both sides are now racing to adapt. Electronic warfare, signal jamming, physical countermeasures, and drone-on-drone combat are becoming more common. Still, innovation often favors the side that can adapt faster, and Ukraine's decentralized drone units have shown a high degree of flexibility. Training programs, volunteer tech communities, and rapid feedback from the front have allowed Ukrainian forces to refine tactics quickly, often faster than traditional military procurement cycles allow. The contrast between mass troop deployment and FPV drone effectiveness highlights a broader shift in warfare. Numbers alone no longer guarantee success. Instead, information dominance, adaptability, and technological creativity are becoming decisive factors. What's unfolding in Ukraine may serve as a case study for militaries worldwide. Future conflicts are likely to be shaped less by how many soldiers are deployed and more by how intelligently force is applied. The reported deployment of hundreds of thousands of troops underscores the scale of the conflict, but it is the widespread use of Ukrainian FPV drones that reveals its true character. Precision, innovation, and speed are redefining power on the battlefield. In this new reality, even the largest armies must contend with the disruptive potential of small, smart, and determined systems. And Ukrainian air assault forces said units of the 7th Rapid Response Corps struck a Russian attempt to move reinforcements along the Shevchenkov-Pocrovsk logistics route, as Moscow sought to build up for an assault on the village of Hryshine, according to Ukrainska Pravda on January 5th. The Corps said Russian forces used more than 30 light vehicles, including motorcycles, buggies, and other motor transport, to try to concentrate additional personnel and equipment. It said part of the vehicles were destroyed while on the move, including with the use of drones FPV, while the remaining vehicles were detected and hit on the southeastern outskirts of Pocrovsk when Russian troops tried to find shelter. According to the military, Russia's 76th Air Assault Division was operating in the area. The enemy's objective is to further increase pressure on the northern outskirts of Pokrovsk and subsequently to launch an assault on Hryshine. Ukrainska Pravda quoted the Corps as saying, Earlier, it was reported that Ukraine's commander-in-chief said Ukrainian troops outmaneuvered and trapped advancing Russian units near Pocrovsk, with heavy fighting shifting the front lines around the town. Both infiltration attempts end in complete destruction of assault forces. Here, Ukraine's counteroffensive around Pokrovsk is entering a new phase, with pressure building on Russian positions in and around the town. As conventional movement becomes impossible, and reserves being either killed or captured, Russian forces are once again turning to a two-pronged pipeline infiltration in a final effort to shift the situation. According to Ukrainian army officials, Russian units inside Pokrovsk have effectively lost the ability to hold their positions, with an estimated roughly 50 Russian soldiers remaining from the initial 300 scattered across the town. Their situation is dire, with ground supply routes cut and resupply limited to an improvised aerial bridge using drones. However, this method is insufficient to sustain prolonged resistance and is heavily interrupted by bad weather and Ukrainian electronic warfare. Additionally, Ukrainian forces have begun advancing to the north, with units pressing all along the Zapadne-Kalinove-Holubivka line. This indicates a new Ukrainian operational intent to clear the entire area west of the Oskol River rather than stop at the town limits, the second phase of Ukraine's Pokrovsk offensive after the massive success of the first. This could collapse the Russian bridgehead and secure Pokrovsk from further infiltration, finalizing the major Russian failure in the north. Faced with this deteriorating situation and unable to reach their trapped forces, the Russian command resorted to a desperate and increasingly familiar tactic of pipeline-based infiltration assaults. Finding suitable pipelines, Russians conceived a two-pronged assault intended to divert Ukrainian attention, create confusion, and reopen corridors to the encircled Russian remnants in Kupiansk. The idea being that the pipelines would provide relative safety and shield them from the increased Ukrainian drone activity amidst the counteroffensive actions. The first of these attempts unfolded near Dvorichna, where Russian forces sought to repeat a pipeline infiltration that had once enabled them to slip into Kupiansk. However, this time, Ukrainian defenders were fully prepared. Roughly between 50 and 60 Russian soldiers advanced through a gas pipeline toward Ukrainian positions, but their movement was detected well in advance by Ukrainian drone reconnaissance due to the amount of Ukrainian artillery and drone units on standby for the counteroffensive.